Thousands of Palestinians are fleeing eastern areas of Gaza City, fearing an imminent Israeli ground offensive amidst relentless bombardment. Israel has said its plan to capture Gaza City, Hamas's last major urban stronghold, is key to defeating the group, but the move risks endangering hostages and displacing hundreds of thousands of already those uprooted by war. Israeli strikes have destroyed dozens of buildings and killed at least 16 people, according to Gaza health officials. The military has begun dropping leaflets ordering residents to move south, while saying it will equip them with shelter materials. Prime Minister Netanyahu, backed by his right-wing allies, ordered the operation despite warnings from Israel's military leadership about the risks of urban warfare. Mediators from Egypt and Qatar are pushing for a ceasefire, warning this may be a final chance to halt the bloodshed.
صعب مواصلات صعب على الآخر ويعني فيش مصاري فيش دخل فيش شغل يعني هاي انا بدي اطلع من غزه بدي اطلع على الجنوب عشان ما بديش اتنقل واتريح نفسي انا يعني بدي اطلع على الجنوب عشان انا اتريح نفسيتي بديش انا انقل من الشمال يمين بضلش يعني ما ضلتش حياه يعني انت شايف كيف المعيشه غاليه فيش شغل إنه يعني سنه ونص قاعدين فيش شغل اشي صعب علينا صعب كثير
بدي اسافر بهاجر يفتحوا لنا المعابر خايفين من نخش بري يعني فاحنا طلعنا اخذنا شويه اغراض بدنا نروح على الجنوب لقينا مكان نقعد فيه ونأمن الآن.
بالنسبة للمناشير النزلة يعني بدهم إيانا ننزح، ليش ننزح؟ طب ما وين مكان الضرب؟ هان ضرب وفي الجنوب ضرب، شهداء هان وشهداء هناك، يعني على الفاضي بس بنتعب حالنا وإيجارات، من وين نجيب إيجارات؟ من وين نجيب سيارات؟ مش موجود هذا كله، مش قادرين نطلع، إحنا خلص احنا من الموت مش طالعين، احنا
إنه ارحمونا اليوم في قمة عربية في الدوحة. انظروا لنا بعين الرحمه، احنا الشعب يباد عن بكره بهان اباده جماعيه يا اخواننا، والله اباده جماعيه في قطاع غزه. انظر العالم، شوف كيف العالم طلع، هذا العالم كله من الساعه 9 ومن الفجر في ناس، وفي ناس ناموا في الطرقات من شده القصف.
Javier Abu Eid, political analyst, is joining us live from Ramallah. Javier, thank you for being with us on NewsX. Let me ask you about this, the fact that many Palestinians are now in fact moving out, even as this ground offensive is all set to begin. What are the latest reports that you are hearing on this ground offensive and its progress, even as, of course, mediation talks take a hit due to the strike that Israel did in Qatar?
Thank you, Dai. I think this last part you specified is very important because with the attack committed by Israel against the sovereignty of Qatar, at a moment that Hamas leaders were actually analyzing a proposal to have a ceasefire, it was a direct strike against the possibility of having a resumption of negotiations. And clearly, when Qatar is being attacked for being a mediator, there are no incentives to continue this mediation. But what's happening in Gaza City, Uday, it's beyond that people are moving out, people are being pushed out. What we are facing technically is a process of ethnic cleansing. And why using this term? It's not just forcible displacement. What Israeli ministers have been saying is that they want to turn Gaza City into something like Jabalia or Bet Hanun, which are two cities that basically are totally destroyed. And therefore, what the process that we're witnessing now in Gaza City is not one where an army is asking civilians to leave temporarily, but actually people know very well that if they leave, it will be very difficult for them to go back.
Absolutely. And of course, meanwhile, Javier, if we talk about the truce efforts, what's the latest update on that? Of course, they had taken a hit post that Israeli strike in Qatar, but do you believe those talks could resume soon?
This is a very important question. I personally don't have an answer, but I also believe that there are other answers that should be given by other powers, particularly the United States. I think President Trump cannot continue to play it both ways. On one side, allowing Israel to do whatever they want without facing any consequences, and on the other side, trying to appear as a friend of the Arab countries, particularly those in the Gulf. I think the Arab Islamic Summit that's taking place now in Qatar It's a very important diplomatic response. We still have to wait for what is going to come out from this meeting, but you can sense a lot of anger and frustration from most Arab leaders. And I think it's very important because this is not going to shape only Arab Israeli or Arab American relations, but we're also talking about something that goes beyond, which is how the global South emphasizes how the relationship is going to be with other powers. And I think Palestine remains just as in 1947 and 1948, where, for example, Indian diplomacy was very keen on standing with the Palestinian people because of the understanding of what would happen to other nations as well. I think it's very keen for the future of those international relations.
Now, he's been warning about this for quite a while, but when do you believe that on-ground offensive will begin in full earnest?
I think as an analyst, Uday, I have utterly failed because I truly believe that Israel was not going to advance during September for one reason. We are right before the UN General Assembly inauguration in New York. And probably, I mean, if I were at the side of the US president, I would have at least requested Israel, that is receiving weapons and political support and money from the US, not to continue with this genocide as far as they are trying to do some diplomacy. But clearly, here what you have is a US administration that continues to allow Israel to do whatever they want. Perhaps President Trump is now telling the Israelis, you need to be a bit more careful. Now, what I'm trying to say here is that the decision to move into Gaza City, it will be an Israeli decision with US support whether the US likes it or not, but it's, again, US weaponry. And most importantly, Uday, I think it's very important to remember that what we are facing here is not an Israeli leadership that acting in a rational way. The head of the Mossad, the Israeli intelligence, the head of the army, they were against the attack in Qatar, and Netanyahu went ahead. And now it's clear that the Israeli army is not convinced with the argument to destroy Gaza City, but it's once again not a security issue, but a political decision.
All right, stay with us. In fact, we're getting more news now coming in as well. Leaders have gathered in Doha and they've sharply criticized Israel's actions in Gaza, calling them treacherous.